and we just finished dinner, lunch, and we are now back for the Q&A with Mr. Patrick Haan, who wrote the Alien Handbook. So we have another show where we interviewed him in the studio, and now we are doing a post-lunch interview.
And if I may, since you mentioned that I wrote this book, what I'm saying now is the first public notice of the next book, the sequel, which has already begun, the title of which is The Alien Presence.
The Alien Presence. So
Nothing to Fear. That's the title. The Alien Presence.
Nothing
Dos
to fear.
puntos, as they say in Spanish, colon, nothing to fear.
So, did you hear on my ad for this? I said, should we be afraid?
No. No.
Don't be afraid.
There are things to be afraid of. Aliens ain't one of them.
I'm not really sure that fear enters in.
We just did our Facebook Live, and a bunch of you asked questions that were so good, and we wanted to make sure we got to them because Patrick Haan covered so much here in the Alien Handbook. And this was published by Julia Cannon's
Publishing
company.
Yes.
It's Ozark
Mountain.
Publishing.
Did
So
you
we
skip
love her.
back from there?
No.
Did you have a...
I'm going the week after next.
And it's a convention with the authors?
The UFO conference. I'm just going to sign books and to meet some of the people. I am presenting at the Transformational Conference in August.
Okay, good.
And the subject, disclosure.
Okay.
And that will be publicly available for a price, I don't know what that price is, through Ozark Mountain Publishing. After every conference, they make that information available.
Okay.
That's all I know about it.
So I'm sure you can find everything on your website, which is theamendment.net. Theamendment.net is Patrick's website.
So we have questions. We have viewer questions. We have questions. And
Fire
I want
away.
to start with, I thought there wasn't going to be a big disclosure. Or at least not for another 1,000 years. Didn't you say that?
Great question. Define big exposure, disclosure.
They land on the
No
White
running,
House.
no running away. I want to hear a good definition.
Okay, okay. So right now, Tiff and I wear the foil hats, and we are the crackpots, along with millions of others. And there has not, I believe, because I believe, we've seen. And it just makes sense. I have a picture, and I'll get that. Anyway. But there are many that don't. Where it's almost too solid to disprove.
Okay, I would call disclosure, to expand on what you just said, physical landings upon the Earth's surface, face-to-face meetings with human beings, face-to-face meetings with representatives of human governments, both civilian, civil authorities, and military. Other contacts with general population, other unmistakable remnants, ruins, buildings, edifications, or evidence of their visits.
It's
all of those things all exist and are all well documented. Has anybody ever heard of the term ufologist? There are very good ones that have investigated and documented all of this. When somebody says there's no evidence of alien extraterrestrial presence, my answer is y'all ain't paying attention, because the disinformation is telling you, oh, the proof has to be what we authorize on CNN. And you're never going to hear anybody say that. But if you think for a New York damn minute there isn't somebody out there controlling what shows up on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and CBS and ABC and NBC and the BBC, there is. And that's why you're not getting the proof that you want.
So
it's out there. Oh, it's been. We were created by aliens. We are aliens.
And isn't
it's been going on ever since we were created.
And isn't it true that in past civilizations like the Mayan, the Incan, that they were with them all the time? They walked among them. And they still do to this day. To
a certain extent, yes. But it's minor. It's not very much. There's a lot less in the past 300 to 500 years. But through the approximately 100,000 years that humans have been on Earth, it's been pretty steady and constant. We're getting a lot more attention than we got recently because of our technological advancements, specifically electromagnetic energy, radio transmissions, TV, and of course nuclear energy. That's gotten us a lot of attention that we didn't have previously, not since Atlantis.
Well, and you mentioned a little, or on the other show, you had mentioned that when there is a disclosure of or a sighting, there's often a lot of disinformation put out there to distract and cover up and discount and discredit people
That's
who
right.
are coming through. I mean, Air
He's
Force
a
pilots and
he's a
astronauts.
right-wing nut. Oh wait, that's the political disinformation. Let me change that. He's a delusional psychopath. That's right. He's a delusional psychopath. You keep saying it, you keep saying it, you keep saying it, and you get somebody that looks very corporate and very proper and feminist, and they say it in the right medium, and they say it often enough, and that's right. He's a nut. So that's the disinformation.
So how do we discern, apart from having our own experience, when someone comes forward with a sighting or a video or somebody's got a story, how do you discern what's with the truth?
2 steps.
Okay.
Listen to it for yourself without the background noise and decide for yourself, because you'll have a feeling. We all have a good nose for when somebody's lying to us.
Okay, example. That there was a video that came out recently. It was like a fighter pilot, and they were trailing him, and they have the green, they have the alien doing all these things.
Correct.
That was fake. Absolutely fake.
No, it wasn't. It was fake montage. They took real footage, and then they put some other fake elements into it.
The reason I say that, they don't say, "Hey, dude, are you getting this?" They don't talk like that.
Sometimes they do. But the sound over, yes, was a bit faked. But the actual video, there was a lot of real stuff in there. But then they put in some other elements too.
So that means that was a controlled release of information.
Absolutely.
That's just what I don't trust.
It's just like a pressure release valve.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, we know that vessel is going to blow. We'll just bleed off a little pressure.
So there's an element of truth to a lot of this disinformation, and then it's skewed another way to discredit it or give you that.
They'll take somebody that's very credible saying something that's preposterous, but since they're so credible, how do you know?
So you said there are 2 steps. Listen for it to yourself.
Number 1. Number 2, listen to the contradicting. Are they calling names? Do they criticize? Do they insult? Do they put down?
Negative spin on it.
Right. Or do they simply offer a different point of view? You look at a dress and say, "Hey, that's blue," and somebody else says, "Hey, that's green." Nobody's insulting each other, not saying, "Hey, that's a blue dress," and the other person says, "Hey, that's a green dress, you bitch." Now, when you hear that, when you hear somebody adding an insult in, that's disinformation. That's to distract you, because now you stop thinking about the color of the dress and you think about the attack, and 1 or 2 things will happen generally. You'll go, "Oh, that's horrible." Or you'll go, "Yeah, she's a bitch." It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. You've now been distracted, and the disinformation has done its trick.
Right.
When the contradicting, contrarian information comes through, how is it presented? Is it presented in a logical, open, voluntary manner? And then you decide for yourself. Listen to your heart. You'll always get the right information.
So we have all our human filters in place, though, where, if you've never seen something before, you can't even see it. You can't have a label for it. Mm-hmm. So I think, how do we discern what's truth when we have no context to put something in? Don't
insist that it has to be true. Just look at it and observe it for what it is.
But there's
with an open mind. You don't have to come to a conclusion. It's not a homework assignment. Well, you don't have to have a final sentence, a summary.
And that's what I keep. I've been told this now several times. I like to put things in these little boxes, and they're saying there is no hierarchy, though the human brain, we need it. We need to say this is better than that, 5th dimension, 3rd dimension, 2nd.
Correct.
But outside of the quote unquote 3D, there isn't a hierarchy.
A rigid hierarchy, correct.
So it doesn't have to fit in a box.
It's like our psyche is built on beliefs. Like, this is how I know I'm going to survive, because the sun is going to come up in the morning and it's going to set. So when you throw something out there that completely blows up the belief structure,
that's a good point.
You almost have to put something in place of it.
Framework.
Or that's what the ego wants, to put something in place, some belief.
And that's what disinformation does. It provides that fictitious framework that fits so neatly. It's like the carbon monoxide molecule fits so neatly in the place of the oxygen molecule. So if you put enough of it in, not too much, it'll do its job at a low level. You can make somebody sick. You can give them low-level carbon monoxide poisoning. You give them enough, you can kill them.
Kill a canary.
Right. That's what the disinformation does, because it takes advantage of the human need to have that.
With Hollywood and CGI, I mean, they've created sci-fi worlds that you're immersed. It feels so real. So it's hard to know when somebody posts a video or an interview, like, is it man-made? Is it created?
Yes, sometimes it is. Go to my website, send me a question, and I will tell you.
Okay, so we can send you a specific.
Of course, I get it all the
download of
time.
Something.
I get it all the time. I constantly, since I started the website, people ask me questions. Sometimes I get the answer, sometimes I don't.
And that information, is that coming from Zebulon?
No, that will come from my guardian angel guides.
Okay.
I know what you say, because you can't, but to just believe everything across the board is not always advantageous.
But it's very convenient and easy.
It's the lazy man's way.
You say in the book that there are going to be people who are going to ride this, and charlatans who are out there going to be trying to get notoriety for their sighting. I mean, there are going to be fakes. It's just part of the human condition to put that kind of stuff out there.
Correct.
So,
correct.
just as I feel like I'm trying to say, as I discern my own experiences, when there's so much information and disinformation, like I'm not. Maybe it's just my own question. How do I really know what's
First of all,
true?
stop. Not stop. Let go of the idea that you need to know what the truth is. Just look at it.
Bashar, do you believe that what he says is right? I mean, do you believe that
It
what
feels true to me. Daryl Angra's channeling of Bashar feels true.
So I guess it's that feeling when it resonates. When the
That's a big part of it. Don't think that you have to believe it. Just look at it. Consider it. Oh, that's interesting.
But we're in a world where you have to weigh in on it.
No, you don't.
I know, but it's black and white, Dallas and Houston, Coke and Pepsi. I mean, they love that division.
Sure, why?
In general.
Sure, why?
Because we like to be a part of a group. We like to be a
Power. If I can get a certain percentage of people of color in the United States to think that all the whites are oppressing them, now that provides the platform for me to step up as their protector and savior. Why do I need to be the protector and savior of a certain group of people? Because they'll give me money and influence. They'll give me power.
So you're going back to that other thing we're talking about. But so does that...
That works with any subgroup. Adolf Hitler perfected that. The in-group, the out-group. This is why politicians are just two conferences of the same league. We hear about Republicans and Democrats. It's the same sport. They're just the American League and the National League, the Republican League and the Democrat. They have to pit the conservatives against the liberals so they can now position themselves as the champion of whatever particular group. They're all on the same page. They're all doing the same thing.
Right. You're exactly right. That was the big thing that I'd been talking about, that whole mess. So it is okay. So we were talking about disclosure and your next book, which is about that.
Well, disclosure is going to occur, and I'm going to get into this in a good deal more detail at the presentation at the Transformational Conference in Eureka Springs in August. But disclosure is going to occur pretty much according to humanity's request and schedule. In other words, collectively, we, as all humans, have to reach a tipping point. The comparison or the example that my guides have given me is chemical titration. You get to a certain number of moles of concentration of a liquid. You add one drop, it changes color. You add another drop back, the original solution changes color back. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. It's a very, very fine line, but it changes the whole complexion of the solution. When we get to a point where we've reached that tipping point that we want to see disclosure in a more open way, we will. The alien extraterrestrials have openly contacted our leadership. I explain this in the book in detail. We create human societies, we create the structures, we create the hierarchy, we create the role, and then we fill the role, whether it's a dictator, a president, a prime minister, whatever it is. Who are they to come in and tell us how we should organize differently? They observe us, they know exactly what's going on. They're not by contacting the people directly around the government, which is us, same thing. They're essentially taking sides with one group of humans against another. They're never going to do that.
Right.
Just like we wouldn't do it. If we saw 4 dogs arguing in the dog park or fighting, we'd get a bucket of water, we'd do something to try and stop it if we thought that they were going to harm one another. We're not going to grab one of the dogs out of the 4 and punish that one and let the other 3 get away with it. We would never do that. If parents have 3 kids and they're going after each other with sticks and they're getting bloody, what's the initial reaction? Is to stop the fight, not to assign blame or punish one of them.
No, we do.
Well, when you find out which one.
Which one started it? You started it.
Well, they both started. What we find out is that they both had a hand in it.
It was a team event. But the aliens really, the extraterrestrials, they're not going to take sides with one group of human against another. And they're not going to say Japanese good, American bad, Russian good, Chinese bad, North Korean good, South Korean bad. They're never going to do that. So they respect our structures. And they explained it, and I put this in the book. They want their structure to be respected because it isn't just humanity. They are constantly interacting with civilizations all over the galaxy. They know that if they are disrespectful and are disconsiderate of American human societies and sovereign nations such as the United States, whatever, they're sending a message throughout the galaxy, be disrespectful of us. They're never going to do that. They're never going to be hypocritical that way. So they're frustrated with the result because they have seen the leadership in countries like the United States and Great Britain principally conceal and cover up the whole thing and pretty much flush it down the toilet as far as the public is concerned, but they keep the information for themselves. And the reasons for them contacting us, which is for our benefit to a large measure, are not coming about. So they are going to say, okay, we're going to disclose our presence simultaneously to the leadership and to the people at the same time, because we know that the leadership will see us as doing something against them, to which we will assertively, but gently, but assertively remind them we contacted leadership first and what happened. So now we're contacting everybody. Like because this is how you do it. Your leadership in country A contacts your leadership in country B, and at some point, if we're friendly, now the head of state goes over and has a public visit and gives a speech. So that's what we're doing. Who are we harming? Nobody. Oh, but you're losing control of the narrative, so you can't manipulate the population. That's not our problem. We don't see that as a problem. If you want to manipulate people with this particular issue, look, if you want to go wear green pants, that's your decision. You're a part of our community. We love you. And we believe you love us back. And we want to contact all of you. So this is how we're going to do it. When is this all going to happen? When we reach a tipping point in humanity, when we say, we want this contact.
How close are we to that?
As close as we want to be. This could happen January of 2019 if we want it. But we as humanity have to reach a tipping point. And what will that tipping point be? Well, it's kind of like saying, what's an appropriate dress at the club? Well, you know it when you see it. When we get there, we'll understand it. It's a level of understanding and acceptance. When there is a general lack of disinformation, when we notice conspicuous by its absence a number of crackpots coming out every time there's something that says this is evidence or proof or an indication of alien extraterrestrial presence in and around Earth, when we don't see 45 critics coming out saying, you're delusional, you need a psychiatrist. When that stops happening reflexively, which is the way it happens now, that's when we will be coming much closer to it, because then the aliens know, okay, we'll come and show who we are, why we are, what we're all about, and enough people will listen. We know some people won't. Of course they won't. I mean, this is like the issue, it sounds so ridiculous, it's like the issue of, oh, is there racism? Of course! In a country of hundreds of million people, you can always find some nut. It's not hard to do. Right. You can pay somebody to pretend he's a nut, even if he isn't, and then put it on the news and drum up a way of thinking about it. There's always going to be a crackpot. But when we get to a tipping point where the majority don't want to hear the distraction, they're interested in hearing what might be.
Well, I think
that's when it happens.
I think we're very close. I mean, if you look, before the show, I YouTubed UFO sightings. You should see how many have been out just this year. It's incredible.
I'm sure Patrick gets them.
I'm sure you do too. But that is
no, not that much.
But it is.
I'm not a big UFO guy. I'm not a big alien guy. I know that sounds ridiculous. I wrote a book about it. The readers of my website are pretty much the ones that got me onto this. If you've read the archives of my material, my channel material probably is more than War and Peace. We're talking 1,500 pages. Almost none of it deals with extraterrestrials. It deals with us. It deals with humanity.
But I think that is the next extension. And when I look at that tipping point, I think the iPhone, I mean, or the phones in general, because I think people grabbing their phones and recording it and then blasting it all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But so could I say, you know what, I would really like to meet you. I mean, is there individually, can we request it?
Yes, that's part of it. That doesn't mean you're going to get it individually, but if enough individuals do it, they'll get it.
That's really cool. It's like, oh, no.
Remember, it's a big event. It's not the individual meeting with the extraterrestrial. It's now you're going to tell somebody about it. Not all of us are in a position. I think I am probably more than other people. I know I am. That's another subject. I'm pretty bulletproof when it comes to public criticism.
Because you don't care.
I really don't care. I mean, I care to a certain point, but much less than most other people. And I've had a number of experiences in life to prepare me for that. Yeah. So I know what it's like to go through certain things. In fact, I almost look forward to it because it means things are happening for the benefit of everybody. Mm-hmm. That's why it happens. The old expression, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Mm-hmm. It's happening for a benefit. It's so easy to criticize. Back to the disclosure. Anyone that really wants disclosure has to seriously think to themselves in a quiet moment with no other distraction. How do I define proof? And what will I accept? Simple question, but that's like an exam question, an essay question on an exam. Oh, I have to think about that. I have to put in mental effort. Yes, you do. This is not that simple. It's very easy to throw stuff out. And it goes out that fast, and it's that easy, and so easy to listen to that. But go ahead and do it. Oh, wait a minute, I can't do that. I have to learn how to do this, and I have to learn how to do this, and I have to learn how to do this. I have to practice for a while before I can go. I have to think.
No.
Pretty good. There you go. I have to think. I have to put, yes, you do, because as you do that,
we know you're trying this at home.
This will be channeled to you. What you should accept as proof as you start thinking. Well, I would accept this. I would accept this. It's not just I would accept this. Your guardian is saying, yes, this is what you'll accept. And it's coming to you. It's channeling you. You might not think it's channeling. That's what will get the thing going, because the aliens are listening to all of this. If somebody goes outside right now and says, oh, I want to talk to the aliens, and looks up at the sky, well, you're going to have a hard time seeing them, principally because it's daytime. Although they can certainly make themselves visible in the daytime if they want to, but it's much easier at night with just a couple of lights on their vessel. However, the aliens have the physical capability to conceal their presence completely from any method of detection we have, anything, or make it revealed. So every time there is a sighting or a video, that's intentional. It's never accidental. It's never accidental. That's as simple as peanut butter on toast to a haute cuisine chef for them to disclose or hide or cloak themselves. It's very easy. So when they do it, it's never accidental. That's like saying, I accidentally bought a house. You can't do it accidentally. They don't accidentally show up. We think that they're always visible. And no. They cover themselves up and then they show themselves. They're doing it on purpose. So the number of sightings, well, you have to be looking up at the sky because you're not going to see them if you're looking at the ground. More and more people are looking at the sky. It doesn't mean the number of sightings have gone up. It doesn't mean the number of disclosures has gone up. So if somebody says, oh, you can talk to the aliens, yeah, you can telepathically. Anybody can. But will they listen? Well, you have to believe it because they'll know you're just going out. I'm not a Buddhist. So I'm going to go outside and say, oh, Gautama Buddha, ha ha ha, but I'm not a Buddhist. It will be understood that I'm not sincere, that I'm just saying it.
There's no emotional connection to it.
To make the air vibrate, to make my larynx go.
Yeah.
But I don't really mean it.
Right, it's not in your heart. Well, you know, that
versus if I really mean it. Has anybody ever been lied to by a romantic interest? I love you and you know what? No, that never happens. How do you, and you always know when they're deceiving you. How do you know? So when you're talking to the aliens know that you're just saying it. Now, if you really mean it, and you really think and you truly believe that you can communicate telepathically, do it, especially at night because it's easier to see the little light, they'll pick up on it, and there's a good chance they'll acknowledge it and wink at you in any of a number of ways.